Yum, yum!
Greg here from Pixel Fondue. Do you remember in the movie Aliens during that awesome dropship sequence? They're headed down to LV-426 and you get a glance of the dropship's readout screen and you see this hologram of the train coming up into view. And I saw a couple of images posted by William Vaughn on, I think, the MODO Slack group by a Japanese user named Taz, who had put up some really cool stuff. And it reminded me of that shot. Also reminded me that Aliens, while only the second movie in that series, was also the last good movie in that series. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, so inspired by Taz, I decided to recreate that using MODO and some mesh operations. This is in After Effects. I put the Hollow Matrix plugin on here, but this is what it looks like with that off. And that's coming out of MODO right there. And yeah, so let's see how that's done. Here I am in MODO 12.2. I'm going to start off by just dragging out a plane with the cube tool in the top viewport. I'm not so worried about center quite yet. And then I'm going to right click and drag and get a bunch of segments this way, and then I'm going to right click and drag and get a bunch of segments this way until they're roughly square, looking pretty good. If you want to bring up tool properties, this is different in 12.2. It's now a pop-up. I'm not sure if I'm crazy about that or not. But if you tear it off, every time you activate a tool, it'll just pop back to where you last had it. And we can center it here. This is fine. Put it back in the center. And I'm a stickler for rounding numbers, so it'll look pretty good here. I'm actually going to double these to roughly that, and yeah, looks good. Cue to drop the tool, and there is our terrain plane. And I'm going to double click in edge mode, the outside, and then just Alt 1 to convert those to verts, and then Shift up arrow to expand that by one region, and then J to lock it. You can see up here, J is lock, I is unlock. We get this nice color now in 12.2, about time, only took 12 years. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go over here to the push tool and sculpt us some terrain, because LV-426 looks exactly like this. Okay, we now have LV-426. Smooth out the edges here. Want that to look nice and smooth. Same with this side. Looks pretty good. Now, the more subdivisions we have, the better or smoother the topographical curves are going to look. That's not bad. You can always press, well, let's do I for unlock, and then press Shift D to get some more faceted segmentation there. We want to keep this polygons, not sub D surfaces. We want these to be polygons for sure. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So that is our terrain. So we will call it terrain. And now I'm going to press N for a new new empty mesh item. Bring up my modeling stack here and add a cube operator. There's our cube. Put size Y to 0. This is going to be our cutting plane to get this look. If I go back to After Effects here, this sort of cutoff look on both sides. That's what we're doing right now. And I'm going to pull this guy up, Mr. Cube here, and go to handle mode, resize from center, like that. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Boom, boom. Look at the top. It needs to be bigger than our terrain plane here, so it looks pretty good. 2.8 maybe. 2.8. I like it. And we're going to call this guy Top Cutter. That seems like an appropriate name. Top Cutter. Okay, so with our terrain selected, let me scooch this over. It doesn't need to be so wide like that. I'm going to add another operator called Axis Drill. Not Axis Slice, Axis Drill. Now this operates similar way to the sort of other drill modes in MODO and Boolean modes. It has a nice little curve selection option that we're going to use. So template surface is going to be Top Cutter, this guy, and we're going to do a core operation. That's fine, and we're going to do it on the Y axis like that, and hit OK, and it just clips the terrain just like that. Really cool, right? And so if I go to the Top Cutter and I'm just going to turn it into a bounding box, kind of get it out of the way, and then if I animate this, you can see it, you know, like that, how it's keeping the plane visible within this bounding box. But what I really want to do is animate the plane, right? So I'm going to make sure I'm in item mode, press W for The move key, let's get this all the way over, kind of like that. Let me push in a little here. So we'll start it right there. Shift W to set a key. You can see the key right there. Drag up to 150 or wherever you want to go, and just drag this way until it gets to the other side, like so, like that. Looks good. Already has a key there. Just on the X because that's what we moved it, but you can always press Shift W if you are like me and like to make keys on everything because keys are fun. Taking a look at the keys here, I'm just gonna turn the entire curve to linear, so it's just going straight across like that, and then dragging through. In fact, I could probably play this. It's a pretty fast mesh operation at this level, yeah. So you can see it playing through there, and there goes the scanned section of LV-426. From Aliens, the second and last good movie in that series. Okay, so next we need to create those curves, right? The topographical curves, is that what they're called? These height curves here, these cool curves here, that's what we're gonna make. So I'm going to press N for another mesh item. I'm gonna call this vert cutter, maybe? Vertical cutter? I don't know. Call it raccoon if you want to. I'm calling it vertical cutter. And again, I'm going to add a mesh operation. Let's keep this. You don't have to do MeshOps for this. I just like to because it gives me the flexibility to change things easily later or animate parameters. So I'm going to do a mesh operation of a cube. Why did I type mesh there? Because I was saying mesh out loud, and that's how my brain works. Okay, so we're going to move it off on the Z like that, and our Z we're going to put to 0, so it just looks kind of like that. And then resize from center. Why is that not default? I don't know. So I'm going to say 0.1, and we want it wider than our area here, right? So like that, looking pretty good, and it's at 0.1. And now I'm going to add, actually, let's make it a little bit smaller, like 0.05, maybe. Looks pretty good. And then I'm going to add another operator, make that an array operator. And this is kind of annoying, like the controls for the array operator are actually hidden in down in the tool pipe in the array generator. And so y, X we want 1, Y I'm just gonna put like 12 here for now, and then Z we're gonna put 1. Kind of see where this is going, right? And for the Y, I believe this was, if you look at our cube, it's just 50 millimeters high. So for our array generator, we're going to put this at, I believe, 0.1. And so we get even lines, right? Line, 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 nice and even there. And it's taller than our tallest terrain. I'm actually going to make this quite a bit smaller though, because that's not giving us enough cuts, right? That's only like 3 or 4 cuts. I want more cuts than that. So let me knock this down a little bit, have that, and then go make my cube. And this is why I made these as MeshOps instead of, 0.025, instead of doing just straight ahead modeling, because I like to be able to change parameters when I want to. So yeah, there we go. Looks pretty good. And we're going to do the same operation on here. Let me just drag this above terrain. So terrain, we've got one axis drill down. We're going to do another axis drill. And we're going to do this on Z. And we're going to pick not top cutter, but vertical cutter, or raccoon in your case. And put on there. And wow, looks pretty sweet, I think. Not crazy about some of these right here. That almost looks like a Boolean error. So I'm going to nudge the vertical cutter up a little bit. And sometimes you get these in MODO. I almost think they're like rounding errors. I really wish they'd rewrite the Boolean code, which is, I think, first made in 1983 or something. I don't know. Probably not that bad. So, so the array is going, or I'm sorry, the terrain, the second axis drill. We're going to just go to slice like so, looking pretty good. And you can see the slice lines in there. And then the last mesh operation I'm going to add is called edges to curves. And so throw on edges to curves. And I'm going to add a selection operation to get those, just the slice curves from the previous operation. So I want to select my previous operation, and I want to select the axis drill 2, the second one here, as my operation I want to grab some information from. And the information I want is the intersecting edges there. So I have intersecting edges like that. And let me go back up to the main edges to curves MeshOps here. Let me just close this guy. And I also want to delete geometry. So it's just keeping the curves at this point. And there we go. I mean, that's basically it, right? And so if I, again, animate this, there you see it. There's our LV-426 height model. Now, you'll see that occasionally there's Boolean error. Let me see if I can find one. As I drag through here, I think I saw, oh, there's one. So, you know, these pop up every once in a while. And again, I think it's some sort of rounding error in MODO's Boolean operations code. I notice you can get rid of it if you just really go, you know, to the second axis drill here, and you can, you know, change the Boolean mode and change it back, something like that. And now it's gone. So I don't know what that is. It was sort of a pain rendering the animation because those popped up every once in a while. I had to go back and fix them. Just a warning and a note to the MODO dev team. Can we get some cleaner Boolean code? Please. My LV-426 model needs it. Okay, so let's go to camera here, pick a cool angle, maybe push in a little bit. Let's get the sides being chopped off. You can actually hide these cutters. You don't need them to be visible for them to work. And of course, in terrain, you want to click curve and render curves, and maybe in the shading mode here for environment, we do not want the environment to be visible. We'll just turn that off like that so it's nice and black. And there's, of course, any number of things you can do in terms of shading or whatever. I'm just going to make this sort of bluish like I had earlier. And let's get a render window over here. This one. Boom. Oh my gosh, it's so fat. Okay, so we're going to change those, the curves there to not 50 millimeters, maybe 3 millimeters, something like that. Oh, that looks cool. And yeah, there it is. That's all you have to do. What's cool is you can, once you have this assembly, you can throw anything in there, right? So let me just go to this view here, bring up my schematic, and bring in my terrain here. Nope, not my base material. Don't need that. Remove nodes. So let's take a look at this in the schematic. So I really wish the schematic would put it like this, just like this, instead of the exact opposite way of the way I want to see it visually. Okay, so I can do something like bring up my preset browser and go to, oh, I don't know, meshes, not matcaps, meshes, animals, and of course my favorite animal here, the hippopotamus. And you can probably guess what I'm about to do here. Just align Mr. Hippo to my curves and go to Alt-W for World Action Center and shrink this guy down. And then I'm also going to turn them to polygons, press Shift-D, and get some faceted ones. And actually, you know what, press Shift-D, and you can actually do a Capital Clark subdivide. So you can get that look, but I want to keep it polygons to get better Boolean you know, calculations on there. It seems that when you Boolean, you know, slices into subdivision surfaces, you can get some more artifacting, which I'm trying to avoid. And going back to the schematic, let me just drag this fat boy in here. And yeah, you can guess what I'm going to do. I don't actually need this first one here. Let me pull out this. I'm just going to yank all these out. We want our hippo to be in the geometry for axis drill. And then we also want our hippo to be in the geometry for edges to curves. And then I want to hide my terrain. And now I have a topographical hippo. Oh, I'm missing part of his face there. Let me just bring my my cutter back on here. Why am I missing his face, you may ask? I don't really know. Seems like I should be getting it. Oh, it's cut off there. So let me shrink my hippo down just a little bit. Again, using, let me go down to the base mesh. and polygon mode and world origin action center, so I can get them down here. I'm just going to squish them down a little bit, like so. And then, yeah, let's go back up to my top here and hide my cutter. And now we've got hippo curves right there, like so. And we just need to get those guys rendering with a small millimeter. Now we have topographical hippo. So anyway, pretty fun. Have fun. Go have fun. And don't watch any Aliens movies after the second one if you haven't yet, because you'll just be supremely disappointed.
Yum, yum!